I wouldn't like to say I had the best relationship with my family. Not that it was that bad, but I didn't have an emotional connection. You know, like how parents can be physically present but emotionally absent. I provide a roof over your head, I'm paying your tuition, but emotionally you do not have anyone to unpack your sadness or depression with.
So at what age do you get to know that you have HIV/AIDS?
I found out at the age of 13 or 14, I think. That was 2007. I was a student at Mienga High School.
Okay.
It's located right opposite International Hospital, Kampala. So yeah, they broke the news to me at around that time of the year, and I started medication.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you find out?
My aunt, I lost my mother when I was in primary one, and that was here at Shimon Demonstration School when it happened.
Yes.
So when I lost her, that is 1992, I was taken on by my aunt who raised me. She raised me up to the age of, I would say 20, that is senior 6, took care of us, and now she was also the person responsible for breaking the news to us and to me in particular. So what happened was I was told about my HIV status. She just, you know, took me on the side one evening, we had a discussion, and she told me in detail everything I needed to know. And of course, as a young person at that age, it did not sink in really well. I thought, this is just one of those things you can maneuver through. And of course, as time went on, my brain started to digest deeply and pick up on everything, and I started to actually understand what that meant. Yes.
Okay, so as a child, did you at any time have any illness or any challenge that made you think maybe something was wrong with you?
No, I wouldn't say I was a child at that
13.
moment. At 13, you were an adolescent. You were an adolescent, so I'm a teenager. So I questioned my existence a lot. But again, those are stages of how do they call it, grief. Grieving stages. There is the denial, there is the acceptance stage, and there are about 5 stages. So it's step by step I started to live in a situation where I was questioning my existence. I'm thinking, okay, why is it me? There's that part where you play the blame game, you castigate yourself for things you have not even done. Then you keep asking yourself, why is it me? Why is it not somebody else? And you begin to call out God. You call out God, you're like, you know, if you knew I would be like this, you'd rather not have given me life. I got depressed at some point. I had phases where I was dropped. I did not attend classes because I was still trying to maneuver my emotions. I isolated myself. I was very bitter. I was very angry at my late mother, who I did not actually get to connect so much with. I blamed her for a lot of things, and I had so many questions that nobody I could ask, with nobody to ask, nobody to answer them. Yeah, so that was really the stage. The entire school found out after a while, you know. I disclosed to somebody who did not keep it a secret, and everybody else knew in school. So before I knew it, people were pointing fingers, and I was being discriminated and, you know, stigmatized as the talk of the school.
So the school already knew about your situation?
Yes, after that situation, they found out.
How did they find out?
I disclosed to a friend in search for comfort. You know, there is this stage where you want somebody, you need somebody to talk to. You want a shoulder to cry on, somebody to kneel against and talk to about your problems. But unfortunately, in this day and era, we tend to open up to the wrong people. So I opened up to the wrong person who did not keep it silent, and she just went around telling everybody my business. Before I knew it, everybody knew I was positive. So it was discomforting, but then along the journey I realized that now for me this was a wake-up call. I realized that life is not a rehearsal, and I only get to play it once.
Yes.
And I don't have a backup life, that if this runs out, I have another one to turn to. I also realized that I was not growing younger, and that I had a life to fulfill. I had siblings to take care of. I was also living in fear of disappointing my family, because they had injected a lot in my education. They've given me a place to stay. Really, I was not lacking, except that my mental health was playing games with me. And then I also realized that everybody who was pointing fingers at me and making me the talk was not going to be there to witness my failures in the future. So it did not matter to them if I succeeded or failed. The whole point was I needed to get back on my feet and figure myself out and do what brought me to school. So for me, that was the turning point.
How were you able to manage the stigma at school?
I maneuvered by really just walking through the depression. I walked through depression. I endured it. I did not open up to anybody about how I felt. You know, at this age, now that I am 30, I understand that what I went through then was called depression. At that point, I just felt I was just sad. I'm just unhappy. That's how I would describe it. But now at this age, I realized that what I went through then was depression. Yeah, they were all symptoms of depression. I was dodging school. I had given up really. I did not know what I really wanted.
At that time, did you have any teachers that understood you and were able to give you maybe counseling support that you needed at the moment?
You know, the funny thing with schools today, and this doesn't matter, by the way, if it's an international school, a university,
Or
provided
primary?
it's an institute that teaches anything, is that people who are hired under the title of teacher, lecturer, or tutor are just there to do their job. They walk into their workplace to earn a living, not to come and babysit your children. So the school knew what I was going through. They knew people were talking.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, half the time, the teachers in universities, the teachers in secondary schools, they know the things that are happening among students. They do know. But nobody approached me to talk to me about how I felt. Nobody bothered to initiate that conversation with me. It was more of, it is her problem. Me, I am here to do my job. And you know, I cannot blame them because, again, look at the economy today. Everybody has their plate full with their own problems. I cannot go out of my way. If my responsibility or duties and task is to simply come and teach my students, I'm not going to bother caring about who did not attend my lecture, who is not feeling fine, which student did not do homework. You know, I will go with whoever is going because at the end of the day, I'm eyeing a salary.
Yeah.
If I get that, I am done.
Mm.
It's a pity, but that is the education system we are in. And it's not just Uganda.
Oh, yeah.
It's worldwide. Me accepting my HIV status, 2019, has been a series of rejections, ups and downs.
Yeah.
You get into a relationship, you disclose to your boyfriend I'm HIV positive.
They run away.
They run away. In the beginning, they are nice, they are sweet, they are like, yeah, I feel like we can do this.
Yeah.
You take them to the hospital, the doctor explains the whole process of how we can engage in unprotected sex without them being infected. They make you feel that, yes, they've understood this, they are willing to stay. A couple of weeks down the road, they begin to change, they begin to show you the real side, you know, the fear steps in, and before you know it, you're in and out of one relationship. So it has been a couple of rejections here and there. You know, my body would show scars. There's a point I had so many scars that I was afraid of even wearing something that would reveal my legs or my arms. And that came with a lot of comments of, you should not move around with your scars exposed. You don't look nice like that.
Remember your schooling.
Thank you. And even after I was done with school, because I finished my diploma in 2015. So, you know, even when I was doing my diploma, I had those students who, they just judged based on appearance.
Yes.
She has scars, period. She's HIV positive. They test you they test using their eyes and they give you results.
Yes.
Yeah? And some of these students, of course not all of them, but some of them were as bad as, they took it upon themselves to be the one to tell anybody who came near me that stay away from that girl.
Wow.
You know, we have a very poor mentality as humans. Society assumes that when you're walking with the opposite sex, you have to be sleeping with them. And that is a very bad mentality. That is a very bad mentality. And personally, I have faced that challenge a lot, in that anybody I try to get close to, be it an opposite sex, it's a standard for them that I'm probably engaging in sex with them. So some people feel the need to play, you know, savior and good Samaritan to come and warn the other party that you should stay away from that lady, she will infect you.
What gave you the courage to be able to open up at your age, where we want to be more social, start dating, maybe get a spouse, you were planning to get married? Where did you get the courage to be able to open up?
I was very desperate, extremely desperate, on the wall. My dream has always been to become an architect. And it's one of those things that you know, everybody has that one thing in life that if they do not achieve, they'll never be contented with life. Unlike most women who have their dream as marriage and children, walking down the aisle, for me, my biggest dream is to become an architect. People addressing me as Architect Ruth Namutebi, because I deserve it. I knew that was my biggest dream, and not achieving it is not something I was willing to settle for. So I knew that I had been denied the scholarship because of my status. And for a couple of 2 years, that is 20, I think, 17 and 18, I had been chasing scholarships to go abroad. That was after my cutoff points failed to get me into the local universities here. So I decided that let me try international universities. I tried applying here and there, but you know, you'd apply in some countries, not all of them, and they would say that you qualify academically, but status-wise, we may not let you in. Because again, it's better to find out than go through all the process of chasing a visa, etc., whatever, then for you to be told that you can't go because of your status. So it was the first thing I would ask. Shortly after, they would say that your credentials are okay. I would first ask if, you know, my status is allowed. So then I would be told that no. I got a lot of no. I had gotten 100% scholarship in China at some point. They told me China, no. Turkey was a no. Cyprus, is it Cyprus or Cyrus? Yeah, I was told no. There are about 3 countries that rejected. And to be honest, I was done keeping quiet. I was on the wall. You know, when you're desperate and you're willing to do anything to get to your goal. So the opportunity of sharing my story in an article in a newspaper came up, and I took it up. To be honest, at the time I was not aware what the impact would be. I didn't know if it would be positive or negative.
Who gave you the opportunity?
New Vision.
So someone just came to you and said, we want you to open up?
Because before then I was moving in several organizations like I still do today. I go to schools, I go to Rotary clubs, churches, depending on which environment needs to hear what I have to say. They invited me to speak. One person led me to another. Connections, networking. Then some person suggested that if you've been doing all of this and still you haven't found a scholarship, how about we try this channel? Let's go public.
Had you been counseled through on how you should be able to disclose, or you just decided and said, let me start moving to schools?
I was with schools I was simply sharing my personal story.
Not talking about you being HIV positive.
My personal story, of course, is connected to being HIV positive.
That's disclosing.
Yes, exactly. So I didn't need somebody to counsel me on how to disclose. No one prepared
you on how to disclose.
No. Because it's my story, then I don't need to be told how to tell it. So I was just simply going to schools, telling them my HIV story, how I ended up positive, just to get these young people to change and get in line. And I was also doing it because when I was growing up, I didn't have so much of a shoulder to cry on and kneel on. And I thought if I went through this, then it means there is another young person going through it, but they don't know how to deal with it. So the little I can do is go back to those schools and share my story. Maybe it can change somebody's life. And in the process of doing that, I met so many people who offered me opportunities here and there. So that's how I ended up in my first New Vision article. And then I had so many hopes of I would get a scholarship there and then, because I was so desperate. I wanted to go back to school. And instead of getting a scholarship immediately, I got more TV leverage. I got more interviews coming in my way here and there. I got more platforms to speak at. And I was thinking at that point that if the scholarship is not coming in very soon, maybe I could just keep talking about life. So I just kept doing that and doing that and doing that. One thing led to another. And then in 2022, early this year, that's when I got the scholarship.
Wow.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now we can say Madam Architect or Architect Ruth.
Respectively, you can say Architect Ruth in the making.
Wow, that's great. And how does that make you feel?
For me, I'm all about achieving, yes. If I set a goal, I have to achieve it. I do not care the circumstances or the price I have to pay. I'm a go-getter. That is one of my strengths. And yeah, I can say right now I'm in and out of school trying to achieve my degree in architecture such that I can begin practicing in the field.
Yes.
Yes, I think I would also be the first architect, probably in Uganda, I don't know, worldwide, to disclose
Yes.
her HIV status.
From the experience that you have had, we hear many young people out in institutions of learning, out in communities, joking around HIV/AIDS, saying, you know, it's a disease like malaria. It's a disease like cough, that you know what, you will get sick, you will get medicine, and you will live, you will give birth to children, and you will still live. And they joke around it. And for some ladies, you will find a young girl saying, you know what, instead of getting pregnant, she would rather get HIV/AIDS. What message do you have for such kind of young people?
People who say that they would rather have HIV than have a pregnancy, it's because they've not yet had HIV before. You see, HIV can kill you faster than pregnancy. Why? HIV comes with mental health complications. Like, there is no way you can talk about HIV and not talk about mental health. The two are intermarried.
Depression.
It's a couple. Whether you like it or not, at some point you're going to get depressed because you're HIV positive. But again, we have a category of men who will die in their own movie. They will never accept that they are depressed or they need counseling, they need to be guided. But believe me, as a person who is out there talking to so many people living with HIV, I have met so many people who have disclosed to me their status and how they are fighting to maneuver it,
Yes.
here and how and where. And you know, mental health without peace of mind,
Yeah.
without, you know, when you're depressed, when you have issues going on, you can jump from one point to another and end up thinking about suicide. And at some point in my diploma, while I was doing my diploma, I actually tried to take my life because I felt rejected, I felt unwanted, I felt like the people I was studying with did not really want me around. You know, I felt unloved. So at that point, I just felt that suicide was a solution. You know, I tried to take my life, and to be honest, just stay away from HIV, because you may survive with a pregnancy, but you may die from having HIV if your brain is not strong enough to handle being HIV positive. You will not survive it. We have very few advocates out there, and the reason we are few, it's because we've accepted. You know,
Yes.
we can boldly talk about it. I mean, all my classmates know my HIV status. The administration knows.
Yes.
It's not a secret. I'm not ashamed to talk about it anywhere. But you who is living with it secretly, the fact that it's a secret to you means that you're still battling with it, still battling to accept. It's not a place you want to go. It's not a game you want to gamble with.
Yes.
Yeah, so don't.
So would you advise everyone who is HIV positive, to be able to come out and disclose?
Yes, I would, but disclose to who is the right question. You can disclose to your partner. You can disclose to people who you know will give you help, family maybe. You can disclose to a best friend, but not generally anybody, really.
But you disclose it to your trusted person and she
Thank
let it
you.
out.
That's also a challenge, but you see also, disclosing helps you. You know, there is a law that can get you arrested for infecting somebody. But you know, since it's Uganda and the laws are good on paper, but not enacted, chances are that you may slip and escape it. But if you find somebody who is very well versed with the law, they will have you arrested if they have the money to arrest you.
Yes.
So you can be arrested for infecting somebody with HIV. The law is really there. So do not try to infect people. Please don't try to infect people. Yes.
Lastly, what message do you have, one, for the young people who are still not yet infected with HIV/AIDS, but also with the young person out there who is suffering and are still secretly being positive?
Yes, there is more to life than being HIV positive. There are worse illnesses than HIV. My major goal is my name to be written on the planet. people to know me. I do not want to die like a regular person without this world getting to know me. So I am working towards that goal. For you, I don't know what your goal is. It could be as simple as maybe owning a house or walking down the aisle. Yeah, but either way, focus on your goals. HIV has nothing on you at all.
Yes.
Has nothing on you.
Hashtag to growth in making. Thank you so much for sharing with us your story. I do believe your story has been transforming to the young people who are watching out there. Not only the young people, but I do believe every person that has been watching today's episode has been transformed through Ruthie's story. Thank you so much for watching this show. I do believe Youth of Purpose is going to transform this nation by giving you the platform as young people to come and share your opportunities, your opinions on different aspects that are happening in this country. Follow me on all my socials, I_Tumukunde on Twitter, I_Tumukunde on Instagram, Ivan Tumukunde on LinkedIn, and Tumukunde on Facebook. I thank you so much for watching this show. For more information, Ruthie's number has been scrolling on the screen. You can reach out to her. And for those ones who want to follow her on Twitter, please, the details have been also on the scroll. Follow her for any information. I thank you so much for watching this show. See you next time.
Youth of Purpose. UBC, inspiring Uganda.